Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Noah here breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, November the 12th. We're going to take a look at today's 8-game slate, talk through each position. These are my first looks at the slate. We'll kind of work our way through the player pool. I'll hit on some guys that stand out to me just looking at this slate the night before. As we go, we will build out a core of 5 players. These are 5 of my favorite plays that I see the night before, 5 guys that really stand out to me, just given price, matchup, opportunity, etc. Do want to tell you guys, this core 5 that I give out, it's not a core 5 where you just plug it in and then you put 3 guys or you fill out the last 3 spots and then that's just kind of your lineup for the night. Obviously with NBA, things can change as the day goes on. You always need to be adjusting your lineups based on injury news. You never want to set your lineup and then forget it for the rest of the day. So although I do give this core 5 out and I do really like these 5 players I give out, it's not certain that these are the 5 players I have in my main lineup every night just because based on injury news, all stuff like that. I mean, I'm always changing my lineup as the day goes on to fit with the injury news. Kind of like last night with Brandon Ingram. Like I had guys I had to make swaps that I wasn't on the night before. Like I wasn't going to play Josh Hart, but once we got the news Brandon Ingram was out, I made swaps to Ingram and then upgraded to James Harden. And I wasn't planning on playing James Harden on last night's slate, but going down from Ingram allowed me to get up because I had Kawhi in my main lineup, who I wasn't expected to play, but he just kind of fit, and I liked the rest of my lineup. I was able to get Kawhi out of there, upgraded James Harden, dropped down from Ingram to Josh Hart. So you always got to be adjusting your lineups for injury news. You never want to set your lineup and forget it. I just wanted to let you guys know that. Also, before we get started, make sure you drop a like as always. Greatly appreciated. My video on Monday got like almost 300 likes. I thank you guys so much for that. It's one of the more liked NBA videos I've had this season and just one of the more liked videos I've had recently. My channel's really been doing well since I introduced this face cam. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying the videos. If you are new here, make sure you do click that subscribe button down below. I do upload NBA videos daily along with NFL videos. When baseball season starts, I'll be making daily baseball videos as well, daily MLB videos. So I'm going to have a ton of content coming out year long. I would appreciate it if you guys would subscribe. Also, be sure to click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. And you can also follow me on Twitter, stay up to date with me on Twitter at DFS by Noah. But let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's 8-game slate. We'll start off at point guard. Our stud options here, kind of like 9K and above, are LeBron, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, and Trae Young. Just looking at this slate the night before, I don't think any of these 4 guys are going to be core plays for me, and I don't think any of these 4 guys are probably going to make it into my main lineup. Now, that could change depending on the status of Anthony Davis. Right now, Anthony Davis is probable for this game, but if we know with a guy like Anthony Davis, him being probable is more like questionable because this guy just doesn't play through injuries rarely. I'm surprised he's been playing lately since he has had a sore right shoulder. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he sits out this game, or maybe like after shoot around we see it updated that Davis is no longer probable and he's listed as questionable. So definitely want to keep an eye on that Anthony Davis news. If he winds up sitting, then LeBron would for sure be a core play for me because LeBron's just going to have to do so much for this Lakers team. I would definitely be plugging in LeBron in my main lineup, but since we don't know that news right now, I don't think I'm going to be paying up for really any of these top point guards. Just looking at this mid-range, the guy that I really like that stands out to me is Malcolm Brogdon. His price has really come down a lot just due to his most recent games, his last few games. He has been kind of struggling lately. If we look at the game log, just the last 3 games, 38, 24, and 39 DraftKings points. The shot volume is still there. In that game against Detroit, he only shot 36% from the field. In that game against Washington, only 21% from the field. The peripherals have been down a little bit. The assists have been down just the last few games, but I still expect him to be the primary ball handler for the Pacers. I do want to pull up their usage so far this season so we can just take a look at Malcolm Brogdon's usage with this Pacers team. Right now, it's really been him and Sabonis doing all the heavy lifting. I would take Victor Oladipo off the court, but he hasn't played at all this season, so there's really no need to. So just so far this season, Malcolm Brogdon has a 27.7% usage rate with the Pacers and is averaging 1.28 fantasy points per minute. So he's still a top guy on this Pacers team. His price has dropped down to $7,600 after poor performances the last few games. This is a guy that we are paying nearly $9K for. I think he's still a $9K and above player, so I like Brogdon on both sides. If we go over to Yahoo, he's at $37. I also think that is too cheap of a price as well. Just looking at this slate the night before, Malcolm Brogdon really stands out to me, and I have a pretty good feeling he's going to be a core play for me on tonight's slate. Other point guards, though, that you have in that range, you got guys like Ben Simmons, who could be a play today at 7,400, but I'd probably rather play Brogdon. Same with like Levine, SGA. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to be going to really any of these 7K point guards besides Malcolm Brogdon. He's definitely my favorite play there. Maybe Donovan Mitchell in a pace-up spot against Brooklyn you could look to, but honestly, I still think I would rather play Brogdon for just $300 less. I know Mike Conley's been playing a lot better lately after he got off to a really slow start to the season. Last two games have been okay with 30 and 29 DraftKings points, had 37 DraftKings points against the Kings. This is a pretty good spot for him against Brooklyn as well. Pace-up spot for the Jazz here. I believe that Brooklyn is like top 5 in pace here. They're 5th in pace this season. If we look, the Jazz, they're all the way down here at 27th, so this is a really good spot for the Jazz. I do like Conley at 6,200. I don't think he's going to be a core play for me. I think he's much more appealing on Yahoo. If we go over here, he's at $23. I definitely would take him over some of the guys in that price range, like Derrick Rose. Probably would take him over Chris Paul, honestly. Now, Goran Dragic, I think, would be pretty interesting today if Tyler Hero's out, because we already know that Winslow is going to be out, and if Hero's out, I expect Goran Dragic to play a lot of minutes on Tuesday. But just with the news we have now, I think in that mid-range, Mike Conley's for sure an option at 6,200, but definitely not going to be a core play for me. Dennis Schroeder was someone I was pretty high on the last slate. He was really cheap, 5,600, had 45 DraftKings points against the Bucks. Now it's a pretty tough matchup for Schroeder facing the Pacers. Pretty solid defensive team, a team that's pretty slow pace as well. If we look at pace so far this season, the Pacers are down there at 25th. So it's not a great pace spot for the Oklahoma City. This game does have a pretty low total, I believe, as well. Right now, this game has a 209 total, which is the lowest on the slate with the 5 games we have totals for. So I don't know if I'm going to be going to Schroeder, even coming off a big game. He's still underpriced, kind of at 5,800, but I feel like they're better plays. I would much rather play Goran Dragic, even with Hero potentially playing. I mean, Dragic is going to benefit with Justice Winslow out. We already know Winslow's going to be out. Just the last few games with Winslow out, we've gotten over 30 minutes for Goran Dragic. He's been very productive. He's always going to be a productive player, even playing alongside Jimmy Butler. Dragic can handle the ball. He can get assists. He can get the peripherals. So I do like him quite a bit at 5,600 today. Definitely someone I like in that mid-range and probably my favorite play out of all the 5K point guards. But for value here, just looking for cheap plays, Raul Neto's up to 4,800. I know he's been playing pretty well lately with Simmons out. His minutes have been there. Just the last 3 games with Simmons out, 30, and 29 minutes. It's a good spot against the Cavs, but on an 8-game slate, paying 4,800 for Raul Neto just doesn't feel like something I really need to do. So probably won't be going to him. I was expecting big games from Chris Dunn lately with Winslow out, but that just hasn't been the case. He has not been playing that well. His price, though, on DraftKings is all the way down to 4,700, so in tournaments, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on him. For sure not a cash play just because he's really been struggling lately, but he will be the starting point guard with Winslow out, even though Jimmy Butler will kind of be the primary ball handler. Nunn still should see at least mid-20s in minutes. If he's playing well, I mean, they'll give him 30-plus minutes, but lately it's been Dragic playing really well off the bench, and he's kind of taking minutes away from Nunn. But I do want to talk about a cheap value play at point guard. So one of the big injuries we already know is that De'Aaron Fox is going to be out for, I believe, a couple weeks. That should definitely open up Cory Joseph as a value play. He's really cheap on both sites. He's 3,700 on DraftKings. And if we do go over to Yahoo, he's minimum salary over here. So definitely a value play I'll be targeting on both sites. So as I'm recording this video on Monday night, it is not confirmed yet who is going to start for De'Aaron Fox. I imagine it will be Cory Joseph, but I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to start Bogdanovich at point guard just because he's a really good ball handler. He can play point guard. I'm expecting it, though, to be Cory Joseph, and they just have Bogdanovich come off the bench with De'Aaron Fox going to be out for this game and Joseph potentially starting. We should probably see him play 30 minutes, if not close to that. At 3,700, he can easily give you 24, 25 DraftKings points in 30 minutes. We can pull up the usage for the Kings with De'Aaron Fox off the floor. I know you're not going to see incredible numbers for Cory Joseph just because he's not that productive of a player. He's just not that ball dominant of a player. But there will be some other beneficiaries we'll talk about if I can find De'Aaron Fox here. Where is he? There he is. I know Bogdanovich is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries with Fox off the floor, and we will definitely talk about him in a second. Yeah, Bogdanovich, 28.7% usage rate, 1.16 fantasy points per minute with De'Aaron Fox off the floor this season. Cory Joseph, almost a 20% usage rate, 0.74 fantasy points per minute. I mean, if he starts at point guard, he's going to be a pretty good value. It's a pace-up spot as well for the Kings going up against the Trailblazers. If we look at pace so far this season, right now the Trailblazers are top 10 in pace. They're ranked 8th or they rank 8th. And if we look at the Kings are playing really slow this season, all the way down at 28th. So pretty good spot for the Kings here. There's going to be some value from this team with Fox out, and I think Cory Joseph, I'm assuming he starts at point guard, and if that's the case, I do like him as a value today. Really cheap on both sides. But now going over to shooting guard and just looking at this position, don't really see myself going to guys like Booker, Mitchell, Butler, Levine today. I would just much rather play Brogdon. Brogdon's shooting guard eligible. I would much rather have him over those guys. Buddy Hield should definitely see some more shot opportunities in this game with De'Aaron Fox off the floor. Buddy Hield's not really a guy that's going to handle the ball much. He's just one of those guys. If he gets hot from the field, you can see him put up 40, 45 points, 45-point Draftkings days, I guess you could say. His numbers with Buddy Hield off the floor, it's a very, very small sample size this season, only 33 minutes. Not very good. I mean, 22.9% usage rate, just 0.54 fantasy points per minute. But honestly, in 33 minutes, that's not really something I take too much into account. I think we can go back and look to last season. Let's look at the last season's numbers with De'Aaron Fox off the floor, see if there's a difference here. If I can, we'll run the query real quick. Because I know we're going to have a bigger sample size. We'll be able to see how Buddy Hield actually played with Fox off the floor. So last season with Fox off the floor, in 568 minutes, 26.4% usage rate, 1.09 fantasy points per minute. So, I mean, Buddy Hield's a guy you could definitely target. I don't think he's a core play by any means. Honestly, think people are probably going to go after him seeing Fox out. And I don't think that's a bad move, but there's probably better plays I'd rather go to. Like, if I can find $1,000, I would much rather play Malcolm Brogdon today over Buddy Hield. We're going to talk about Bogdan Bogdanovic. I think he's probably one of my favorite plays at shooting guard, and he's $1,200 cheaper than Buddy Hield. So just looking at Bogdanovic with De'Aaron Fox off the floor, I expect him to be one of the biggest beneficiaries. Looking at the numbers last season with Fox off the floor, 26.3% usage rate, 1.08 fantasy points per minute. I did have the numbers up for this season. We'll go ahead and run them real quick so you can see this season and last season pretty much the same. 26% usage rate last season. So far this season, in 120 minutes, 28.7% usage rate, 1.16 fantasy points per minute. So we're going to see Bogdanovic handle the ball a lot with Fox off the floor. He's probably going to be the backup point guard, and it wouldn't be surprising at all if he closes out this game over someone like Harrison Barnes or if he closes out the game over Cory Joseph. I honestly think you can play Cory Joseph and Bogdanovic in the same lineup, especially with how cheap Joseph is. Love Bogdanovic on Draftkings. He's really cheap on Yahoo as well, all the way down here at $16. He was a guy that got off to a really slow start to the season, but he's been heating up lately. And now with Fox out, he's going to be a big beneficiary. The minutes should for sure be there for him. So I really like Bogdan today. You do have both Bogdanoviches on the slate, so make sure you're choosing the right one. Bojan Bogdanovic is also on the slate for the Jazz. Definitely just wanted to take note of that. Honestly, don't think either one's a bad, or I don't think the other Bogdanovic is a bad play, but obviously I'm talking about Bogdan here from the Kings. But now let's talk about some value plays at shooting guard. If there's any cheap guys we can target, like I said, you got none at 4,700 who I would definitely target in GPPs if I would have some exposure to if I was making multiple lineups. But for really cheap value, there's not much that I see. Like maybe if Tyler Herro's out, you see Duncan Robinson pick up some more minutes. But I mean, I don't think I need to play Duncan Robinson on an 8-game slate, especially when you have Cory Joseph at the same price who just would project way better. So let's go ahead and talk about some small forward plays now. So looking at this position, you obviously got LeBron at the top here, but other guys we could definitely target. Jabari Parker's in a tough spot, but he's been playing really well lately for the I almost said for the Pacers. I don't know why I said for the Pacers. For the Hawks, he's been playing big minutes as well. 32, 37 minutes the last two games. Both of those matchups have been pretty good against the Kings and the Trailblazers. 42, 57 Draftkings points. This is a much tougher spot having to go into Denver to face the Nuggets, a good defensive team, a team that plays slow as well. I mean, he's still pretty nicely priced on Yahoo, I believe. I believe he's like mid-20s in price at power forward, I think. Yeah, he's $27. I mean, you could still target him today. He's not going to be a core play for me, but if I was making multiple lineups, I would for sure want some exposure to Jabari Parker, even in a tough matchup. Will Barton's someone I've been playing recently, but he's up to 6K now. I don't think he's going to be a core play for me at 6K. Kelly Oubre, though, I do like a lot at 6K against the Lakers. Not the best spot. The Lakers do have a good defense. They play slow as well. But Oubre is just going to be a guy that plays 30-plus minutes every night. He's going to give you 30 to 35 Draftkings points most nights. I know he's been kind of underperforming lately, but we saw to begin the season how productive Oubre was. The shot volume is going to be there for him. He's going to take 10, 15 shots most games. As long as the peripherals are there, you can get 30 to 35 DK points from Oubre. So at 6K, he's for sure in play at the small forward position. If Ben Simmons is out, I don't think Josh Richardson is a bad play. Let's run the numbers with Al Horford off, because Al Horford's a guy that's going to miss today for the Sixers. We also know that Ben Simmons could potentially miss as well. So I want to pull up the numbers with Horford off, and then we'll run them with Horford and Simmons. We're probably not going to get much of a sample size, but we can at least see something. So just looking this season with Horford off the floor, 94 minutes played for Josh Richardson, 22.3% usage rate, 0.9 fantasy points per minute. The big guy, or the guy that really stands out, is Joel Embiid, who we'll talk about once we get to center. But let's run Ben Simmons off as well, just in case Ben Simmons misses, see if we can get anything decent of a sample size. I doubt we will, since we only got 90 minutes of Richardson. 69 minutes of Richardson this season with both guys off the floor, 19% usage rate. Yeah, not great for Josh Richardson. I do expect him to still benefit, though, with all those guys out. I mean, when you're taking two starters out of the lineup, that's going to be more production for the other starters. Obviously, Joel Embiid is going to be the big beneficiary, but Richardson's for sure a guy you could target at 5,700. We do know Karis LeVert's going to be out today, so maybe you could see someone like Karuk's pick up some minutes. He's really cheap. He's small forward and power forward eligible. He's minimum salary, $3K. He hasn't really been playing a ton of minutes this season, just like anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes off the bench. It wouldn't be surprised, though, if he does start. It looks like he was assigned to the G. Okay, that was way back. Never mind. So, yeah, Karuk's could potentially be a value if he starts for Karis LeVert. He's the stone minimum. Anytime you get a guy starting at the stone minimum, I mean, I think that firmly puts them in play. You really only need like 16, 18 DraftKings points from a minimum salary guy for him to return value, especially for cash games. So definitely want to keep an eye on the starting lineup for the Nets today and see who they do decide to start for Karis LeVert. But just looking for value plays at small forward, there's not really much that stands out to me at this position, just looking for cheap options. I mean, Bogdanovich, I guess you could consider a value at 5,400 if you want to play him here. I think that's it for small forward, though. Let's go ahead and run through some power forwards real quick. So at the top here, you do have AD at 10K against the Suns, who's obviously in play if he's able to go today. I mean, Anthony Davis is in play on every slate, but he's definitely not my favorite stud. Just looking at some of the studs, we're going to talk about some of these center options I like. I like Embiid a lot at 9,400 with Horford out and maybe Ben Simmons out as well. You got Jokic all the way down here at 8,300 against the Hawks. I think he's going to be a guy that I target a ton today. So I don't really see myself paying up for Anthony Davis today, even if he does play. There's other guys I like, factoring in salaries of other positions. So bonus to 8,400 is for sure a guy you could target. But again, if I'm going to pay like 8K for someone, I think I'm going to play Jokic, even though Jokic has been disappointing this season. Getting Jokic at that price is just crazy. I mean, Jokic should never be close to 8K. He should always be like 9K and above. I don't care how bad he's looked this season. So I probably won't be able to pay up at power forward much. So let's talk about maybe some mid-range and some value here if we can find any value. Just scrolling through the mid-range, there's not much that stands out here that I really see that catches my eye. Looking in this 5K range, I think Bobby Portis is someone I definitely want to talk about, 5,500. Revenge game for him facing the Bulls. He already played his former team once this season, absolutely went off against the Bulls, 29 minutes, 52 DraftKings points. Whether it's a revenge game or not, I do expect Portis to play well. Coming off the bench, he has been playing pretty solid minutes with Mitchell Robinson out. Although they have been starting Taj Gibson at center, we're still seeing Portis play solid minutes off the bench. If he gets 30 minutes against this really bad Bulls defense that struggles to rebound, we saw what he did to them early this season. I think he's firmly in play at 5,500, whether you factor in the revenge game or not. I do like Portis in that 5K range at power forward. But for value plays, just scrolling through value here, I mean, there's not really much that stands out to me. Like, even though Taj Gibson's been starting lately, he hasn't been very productive. He hasn't seen a ton of minutes, and his price is up to 4,200 as well. So he's probably not going to be someone I go to. We know Otto Porter's going to be out, and Chandler Hutchison will draw the start. Last game with Hutchison starting, he played 23 minutes, had 26 DraftKings points. He was 3,200 on that slate. They priced him up to 4K today. I don't think he's as strong of a play as he was on that slate now that he's up to 4K, especially because he only played 23 minutes. If he's only going to play like mid to low 20s minutes, I don't really want to target him at 4K. So there's really no value I see here. I feel like power forward is probably a position I'm going to be trying to get like some of these mid-range options. Like if you want to go to like Bobby Portis at 5,500, I do like him quite a bit. Julius Randle, I like in this matchup a lot. It's just you never know what his minutes are going to look like. I mean, he's playing mid to low 30s most nights. Some nights he'll give you big outings. Some nights you're getting duds from Julius Randle. Just kind of depends. But this is a really good spot for him against a bad Bulls defense and a Bulls team that struggles to rebound. But let's go ahead and talk about some centers now. This is definitely a spot where I do want to spend some time on the top guys. So just starting off with the guys at the top, Joel Embiid, 9,400 at home against the Cavs. I really like Embiid today. I think he's underpriced, especially with Al Horford out. With Horford out this season, Embiid has been a big beneficiary. And if we just go back to last season, with him starting without Al Horford, obviously Al Horford was not on the team last season, we saw the kind of numbers that Joel Embiid was able to put up. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well. He's at $46. I think he's for sure going to be a guy that I target over there. And I just really like this matchup for him. The Cavs aren't really a defense I'm afraid of. I mean, Tristan Thompson's not the worst defender, but I don't really expect him to be able to slow down Joel Embiid. Only concern, I guess, is that maybe this game blows out, but if Ben Simmons winds up sitting and it's just like Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Josh Richardson going out there, there's a chance it does stay close. Right now it has an 11-point spread, which really isn't that crazy. So I do like Embiid a ton. I think this is a great spot for him. I mean, the numbers are insane this season, even with Horford on the floor, with Horford off in 78 minutes, with Horford off the floor, 32.5% usage rate, 1.9 fantasy points per minute. If he plays 30 minutes, I mean, you have to project him for almost 60 DraftKings points with those kind of numbers. So Embiid's a great play. He's underpriced. I love him today. I'm going to be targeting him over guys like LeBron, Lillard, Davis. Obviously, like I said at the beginning, though, if Anthony Davis winds up sitting today, then LeBron will for sure become a top priority for me. But I do also want to talk about Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is also a top center, I should say, a top center that I do like on this slate. 8,300 on DraftKings. It is a bit tougher to get to him on Yahoo since we did pay up for Embiid, we did pay up for Brogdon. Like, if you were to plug Jokic in there, that really only leaves you $17 remaining per player. I do want to try to leave at least like $20 remaining per player on Yahoo, so not going to put Jokic in the core, but I still think he's a strong option at $39 over on Yahoo. But 8,300 on DraftKings, that's just too cheap of a price tag for Nikola Jokic. Even though he hasn't shown much of a ceiling this year, I mean, this is still a guy that has a 60, 70-point upside. He can get you a triple-double. He's not been as aggressive this season. I mean, his field goal attempts, or the field goal percentage, I guess you could say, it's been down in some games, like 33%, 26%. He's not really getting the peripherals either. I mean, the assists have kind of been down for Nikola Jokic this season. But we've seen this season, I mean, he still has games 23, 12, and 14, 26, 6, and 10. This is still a guy that can get you a triple-double. I don't expect anyone from the Hawks to be able to slow him down. If this game stays close, we could see a 30-point triple-double for Nikola Jokic. He could easily go for 50, 60 DraftKings points. With his price down to 8,300 on DraftKings, I think he's firmly in play today. I hope people shy away from him. I really like Nikola Jokic at this price. I think he's definitely one of the top studs on the slate when you do factor in price. But now let's talk about some other center options real quick before we end the video. So Tristan Thompson had a bad game last game. His price dropped down to 6,700 on DK. Just 25 DraftKings points in 31 minutes against the Knicks. His price dropped $900 off of what it was on the last slate. I think Thompson is firmly in play here at 6,700. They're going to need his size against Joel Embiid. I'm not sure how Thompson has done in the past against Embiid, but regardless, we know it's going to be him and Kevin Love doing pretty much all the heavy lifting for the Cavs this season. Thompson's a threat for 20 and 10 pretty much every night. I mean, the dude's gotten you a double-double in literally every game this season but two. One game he had 7 points, 9 rebounds. Other game, his last game, he had 9 points, 9 rebounds. So, I mean, you can pretty much pencil him in for a double-double. I feel like he has a pretty easy floor of like 30 DraftKings points. 6,700 for Tristan Thompson. Definitely feels underpriced on this slate. Aaron Baines at 6K on DraftKings, I'm not as interested in, but I do want to talk about him on Yahoo. I think he's going to be a core play for me again on Yahoo. He's still underpriced at only $19. Even in limited minutes last game, he was dealing with a lot of foul trouble in that game against Brooklyn. He only played 17 minutes, picked up 5 fouls in 17 minutes, still put up 31 fantasy points in 17 minutes, had 14, 7, and 2 with 2 blocks. This is a spot where Aaron Baines is going to have to play minutes. We know how big the Lakers play. They have Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis, usually one of those guys on the floor at all times. So I think we're going to get 30 minutes of Aaron Baines here if he can stay out of foul trouble. He's such a productive player. If he plays 30 minutes, I have to project him for definitely over 30 fantasy points. And at only $19 on Yahoo, kind of one of the reasons I did not put Jokic in the core is because I like Baines so much with his Yahoo salary. I think he's a fine play on DraftKings, but definitely not as strong of an option. Honestly, I'd probably save $500 and play Bobby Portis. But let's talk about some center value plays. So one injury-dependent play, if Steven Adams is out today, I think Nerlens Noel at 5K would for sure be an option. If Steven Adams plays, I mean, the guy has not been that great this season, but $5,100 for Steven Adams still feels way too cheap against the Pacers here. So Definitely one of those guys. If Adams plays, I like him at 5,100. If he's out, I like Noel at 5K. Under 5K, though, for really cheap value, there's not much I see at center for cheap value that I'll really be targeting today. So I think that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I think that's it for center. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Thank you for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like down below. As always, that is greatly appreciated. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Feel free to leave any comments down below. If you have questions, if you want to give feedback, always appreciate your guys' comments. I'm pretty much reading comments all day that you guys leave me. So thank you so much for supporting, guys. Appreciate you watching. Drop a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.